Discussions on economics, wealth. Should everyone's wealth and income information be publicly available?
Have you heard about the Public Wealth Registry?
Yes, I have. It's a controversial topic.
In Finland and Sweden, everyone's wealth, salary, and tax paid are publicly available. Advocates argue that this leads to increased trust in public institutions.
That's interesting. Do you think it would work in our country?
There are pros and cons to making everyone's wealth and income information publicly available. On the one hand, it could increase transparency and reduce income inequality. On the other hand, it could be a fundamental breach of privacy.
I see. What are some potential consequences of a public wealth registry?
It could affect workplace dynamics, as employees may feel uncomfortable knowing their colleagues' income. It could also lead to higher crime rates, as criminals may target wealthy individuals. However, it could also promote social cohesion by reducing income inequality. Does wealth create generosity and poverty selfishness?
Have you ever wondered if wealth creates generosity and poverty selfishness?
Yes, it's an interesting question. Some people believe that having more money makes you more generous, while others think that poverty leads to selfishness.
I read that studies have shown that people who are financially secure are more likely to give to charity and help others.
That's true, but it's not always the case. Some wealthy people are selfish and only focus on themselves.
I also read that people who have experienced poverty can become more selfish because they are focused on their own survival.
Yes, poverty can lead to a survival mentality, which can make it harder to help others.
It's interesting how wealth and poverty can affect our behavior. Do you think it's possible to be both wealthy and generous?
Absolutely. Look at Bill Gates, who has used his wealth to make a significant impact on the world through his philanthropic efforts.
That's true. But at what point does someone's focus on themselves become selfish?
It's a fine line. Someone who is focused on themselves to help others in the future is not necessarily selfish. It's when they only focus on themselves and their own interests that it becomes selfish.
I see. It's important to find a balance between taking care of yourself and helping others.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance and being mindful of our behavior.
Does trickle-down economics do more harm than good?
Have you heard of trickle-down economics?
Yes, I have. It's a controversial topic.
Trickle-down economics is the theory that economic policies that benefit the wealthiest citizens and corporations also lead to an improvement in the lives of those in lower economic classes.
I see. What are the arguments for trickle-down economics?
Supporters of trickle-down economics argue that when the wealthy get wealthier, they are likely to reinvest in their communities by creating more companies that provide employment and better products for all. They further argue that cutting taxes frees up capital that is spread into different parts of the economy as opposed to being locked up in government channels. This translates into growth in GDP, which is an indicator of positive economic growth.
What about the arguments against it?
Opponents of trickle-down economics argue that it does not work in reality. They claim that it does not account for how wealthy people are likely to use their money. Often, they save the money or invest in stock buybacks that do not benefit the rest of society. They often refer to how the Bush and Reagan administration's application of this theory led to greater wealth inequality with an incommensurate impact on incomes, quality of life, and jobs.
I can see why it's a divisive issue. What are policymakers supposed to do?
Before trickle-down economics can be implemented, policymakers must ask if it does more harm than good. And if it does more good than harm, is it the best policy for the economy, or are there better ways of ensuring economic development?